All right, good day, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Impact Podcast. We are so excited today because you are about to experience a number of different experiences, and you'll find out why in just a moment. I am Aaliyah Johnson Roberts, and we have with
Dr.
us.
Dr. Obiama in the house.
Damaris Alvarado Rodriguez in the house. And Cynthia Allen, the one and only.
The one and only. The one and only. So today so I'll give you a little background as to how we got here today with our amazing guest, Cynthia Allen. So I've known you. I have to say, Pastor Cynthia. That's just what I said.
Well, I want you to be very comfortable. So if that makes you feel comfortable, I think you should stay there. So it rolls really clearly off your tongue and you're good with it. It's fine.
Thank you, because that's what's going to come off of my tongue. Pastor Cynthia, I've known, over the years, but the past couple of years, I've really got to be in your space a lot more. And I thought about you a couple of weeks ago because we were at the retreat, Obiama's amazing retreat up in the at the band. Amazing. And we spent the past 2 years, if not three, past 2 years.
Three. Yeah, 3.
Yes. And this last one was so monumental for me because my daughters were there. And this was the first time, and I had no idea which way it was going to go. I know that every time we go up there, we leave. I never know what to expect when we go, but I know that every time we leave so full, and I wanted them to experience it. Mm-hmm. But here is what I wasn't sure of. I said, we're all older. This is what they say, right? We're older, but they're young. They're in their early 20s. And so I wasn't sure how they would connect. And the first night, one of my girls who could be more of an introvert, I checked in at the end and I was like, so how's it going? And they were like, oh my gosh, we are having the time of our lives. But they had connected with you so much. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And I think part of it could have been me in my mind with the separation because one of my daughters is Muslim and you're a pastor, right? So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, how is this happening? The connection was so amazing that all I could think of every time I turned around, she just wanted to be around you. She wanted to be around you. So much so that we were having a screening, Wakanda Forever screening. And we're like, oh my goodness, it's only 40 seats. We have to figure out who to invite. And she said, make sure you invite Pastor Cynthia. No, I promise you. She hasn't seen you since the retreat, but that's where her mind went to. And she got so much healing and so much. She really, really loved it, so much so that she is saving up her money now and figuring out ways to have her money so that she can go again.
Totally cool.
That's the impact that we're talking about, right? That's the reason we're here. Real people, real conversations, real resources. And that's what made me think about we have to have Pastor Cynthia on because she has this magic with her that when she comes into the space, she is not this. I don't even want to keep saying Pastor Cynthia, but I can't help it because when you're not the typical pastor, you have so much fun. There's so much fire. There is all this wisdom that's being poured out. So I wanted to start off by asking, who is Cynthia Allen?
I love the question. It's according to what day of the week it is. It's according to what the situation is. It's according to who needs me to be what I need to be to them at that moment. It's who I am. If I'm in the business space, doing several businesses, I'm a serial entrepreneur. If I'm with my husband, I'm a wonderful wife of 40 years. If I'm with my children, I'm a mom all the time, always working on anything that I need to work on with them. If I'm with my granddaughters, I am a grandmother. I am 100%, I don't use the word spoiling them, but I am 100% yielding into their needs, wants, and desires, okay? Yielding into that. I think that I fill spaces not because I let myself be tagged, but because I need to be who I need to be when I need to be it. And I fell in love with your daughters because I'm very authentic. And so I love you regardless of I know that she loves God and I love God. And We didn't have that. Was a common ground that she and I both had. Doesn't matter all our differences. Sometimes we meet people on our differences. I like to meet people on where we're common. And from where we're common, we can grow into anything else. You know, sometimes we don't need to touch our differences. They are what they are. And so I think I don't touch it from that space. I always touch people from where they are and where we are, where we have in common so that we can merge together. And so I think that I'm able to be what I need to be when I need to be it in that situation. And I think that's very authentic to who I am. Very authentic. You know, you can't kind of put me in a box. I've had wonderful bios and resumes and have paid great amount of money for all of that to try to capitalize me or capsulize me into one thing. And I think I'm always escaping out of that box because I don't really stay in it. And I just, you know, exude purpose, and I exude kind of really just being there for people as light. If I was to say anything, I love India.Arie is one of my favorite artists. I know that I shouldn't say that as people say Christians, but India is my favorite. Okay. And I love India.Arie. And my favorite song is I Am Light, because I really feel like that resonates to what I bring to the earth.
I love it.
Yep.
That's what did y'all feel that? Did you feel it?
That was
So,
powerful. I am so thrilled and so happy to be in this space with you.
Hey,
Really, I am.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. No, I am. I mean, it's like really not even a great saying. It really is where I am. When I come in, I bring light. When I come in, I bring, you know, gratitude. I bring love. I bring feeling. I bring, you know, all of those things. And even being in the new space that I am, wherever I am, in the homeless, wherever I am, I bring light. I'm telling you, I've had people break down and just lay on my shoulder, and I met them 1 second ago. But when they see me, they found a safe place, you know, and they're able to just kind of let go. And I just really believe that that's where I'm graced. I've learned to say, you know, I'm skilled. No, I'm not. I'm graced in that area to be able to be that transparent and that translucent. And that fluid with people. I'm very fluid, you know, and I think that comes from really just being light and really wanting to be light, wanting to be that to people and, you know, to our humanity, that life is hard. I mean, it's a lot going on out here in the streets. So when you see people and you're able to bring light to them, you know, that's the up of the day. That's the up of the day.
Yes. And so it makes me think about, because today, like you said, it's really difficult for a lot of people. You know, any given day, we don't know what may come up. How do you maintain, you know, how can you continue to be the light? Because we have had conversations where we talk about keeping our own cups full. So how does Cynthia Allen keep her cup full in the midst of the world and being, right? Especially sometimes it's really tough to have to be that light in all of these different circles where it could be draining. So how do you keep your cup full?
I have sex. Yeah, I have sex. Okay, so I get release. Yeah. And so that's number one, because I want people to know I'm physically loved. Okay. And so we don't want to deal with people on really where they are. I can stay happy because I stay in a happy place. I have sex. Okay. How do I remain there? Because, you know, people don't want you to say the real reasons why. Because if I was backed up and I was all that, I'd be mean. Okay. But the light couldn't shine. All right. The light shine. I get body massages. Okay. I go and get my nails and feet done. I do retail therapy. You know, I'm not going to tell you this old, you know, spiritual answer. Y'all want, I pray. I do it. No, let me just tell you. Okay, first thing I do is I'm like, girl, it was a rough day today. I tell my husband, listen, tonight, let me go get the nice stuff on, because tonight I need to be loved because I was beat up all day in the street. And when I come home, this is my safe haven. And tonight I want to be loved because I was all day long in the streets, didn't have no, you know, and I need to feel. So that's one of the, and I tell people I keep it so 100%. I think that's why I relate to the young people, because I'm going to tell you what I really do. Okay, this is how I feel. I'll be like, girl, no, honey, it's not about I come home to please my husband to necessarily make him happy. Tonight, I need to be happy. Okay, tonight I need to refill my cup. Tonight, I need. This was a lot. Okay, let me come somewhere and be like, oh, all right, now I can get myself together and face the world tomorrow. And the other thing for me is I take, you know, Obiama has been wonderful in making me and teaching me self-love and not to feel like I'm guilty for saying nope, cutting off the phone, cutting off everybody. No means no. I'm going to get a body massage today. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to get my nails done, honey, making sure I'm shining bright like a diamond. You know, and those are the things that I really do. Yes, I pray. Yes, I meditate. Yes, I exercise. But when I tell people the other things that I do is the stuff people don't want to talk about, you know, that you need in your life to kind of just have a great balance. I don't just have a balance of my spiritual life. I don't just have a balance of, you know, oh, I pray and I meditate and I keep myself centered and all of those things. No, and then when I finish, I go and have sex with my husband of 40 years, all right? And when I get up from there, I'll get up and say, girl, I need some retail therapy. Let me give me some new clothes, because that makes me feel good. And then I say, girl, I need a body massage because my neck is a little. Those are the real things. Because I think we live in a real life. We have a real life. And life is real. And if you don't like say, you know what I mean? My husband thinks it's so funny all the time. If I call, I say that, you know, and it was really funny. My husband just got over cancer. And he would say, you know, I'm sick now and I'm down. And I'd be like, that is not an excuse, brother. Get yourself together. I'll meet you in 20 minutes. That is not that would not be your excuse tonight.
He tried to use that too many times too. Oh, he's like, no, you're good. You're healed.
No. I'm still your caretaker. So I'm gonna need you to caretake for the caretaker so the caretaker can caretake for you.
It's so funny too, right? Because Obiama, right? We were talking. I had posted, friends, about my difficult day last week, and that was one of her suggestions. She wasn't it? He's like, this what you gonna do tonight?
Right.
I was like, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Get you a circle of friends who can tell you how to make your life right. That's all I do.
Yeah.
Damaris, no, I tell her the same thing. I'm like, make sure you and the hubby, okay, go somewhere if y'all can get it in, because you need it.
Well, if you create it as a safe place, then you'll know always where to go.
Yep.
I created it as a safe place. I created it as a place of love, and I also created it as a recharge for me. Mm-hmm. I'm very in touch and very in tune with my own body, so I know the things that release me. I know the things that make me happy. I know the thing. I am in touch with my needs and my wants and my desires. So being in touch with that, I can go to where I need to get what I need. I don't think a lot of women are in touch with it.
I was about to ask you that. Do you think that is a part of our problem as women? Are we afraid, or do we just not know because we're so used to tending to everyone else's needs? Or, you know, what do you think that is?
I think we're afraid. I think we're afraid to ask it from our partners. I think that we're so used to pleasing and not all the time thinking of our own needs, wants, and desires. And I think that is the biggest thing, is that we don't want to, you know, and I think we have a great fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we have a great fear of not being accepted by, or, you know, tonight's not tonight. And to be honest with you, our counterparts as men or women or whoever person is with, they don't care. You know what I mean? They don't, you a lot of times is stuck in your own head. Mm-hmm. And if you be honest and you be open and you tell the truth about what you're feeling and where you are, you know, you understand that even if they can't accept that, that still was your truth. Even if they're not in that space, that still was where you felt, and you validated yourself, even if they don't.
And they eventually do come and tend. You know, I remember when I met my husband, he was so respectful. And I was like, okay, it's time for the sex. Right. And he was really intimidated. And I said, you know, what's going on? And, you know, let's do what we came here for. Like, you know, I was straightforward. And he's like, I really want to respect you. I said, you can do that tomorrow. This is, I'm not asking you right now for respect. What I'm asking you is for sex. And he couldn't take that directness, right? Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't used to that, you know, a woman being so direct. He was the leader as a machismo, you know, Hispanic man. Like, he was the one that, you know, was up front. When meanwhile, I was like, look, you're cute and all, but we're here for this. And guess what? He was a papi chulo. We call him a papi chulo. He was, you know, gorgeous.
Papi chulo.
All the women wanted him. You know, here comes Damaris. And he was like, I knew I was going to marry you the first day I met you. I knew it because you didn't, like, you just came straight forward. You knew what you wanted. You knew how you wanted it. You was very direct, you know, you didn't even soften your blow. And to this day, I'm pretty much like you, let's go, you know, because this is what needs to happen, you know. And just like you had mentioned, Pastor Cynthia, sometimes he's like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't care.
That's what I need tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that women, especially, you know, I say this because I'm probably like the only direct woman in my family, you know, thinking about, you know, my cousins. My mom is a little vicious. Yeah, she's always been like, and I think I get that from her, right? She's always been, you know, the black ball in the family. But I feel as though I look at my cousins, you know, my aunts and everything, they're serving people, like they serve, they want to please, you know, and I want to please, but there's a balance, right? Because they forget about them. And I said, you know, after I just had this conversation 2 weeks ago, I was telling Obiama about it. I was like, you know, my husband and I, we were talking, we had this amazing conversation. And I said to him, I'm going on 50 years old. I'm not that child that we met 21 years ago. I know what I want when I want it, right? Either you're with it or we're not. We have to come up to, you know, mutual grounds. But, you know, that thing of I wear the pants in this relationship, I want to always remind you, you may wear the pants, but I'm the belt that holds up those pants.
All right, girl, I like that.
Figure that out. You know, you're going to have to put your pride to the side. This is a team thing, right? We are together. And I'm 50 years old and you're not stopping me, right? So you either go with the flow or support this. How are we going to support each other, you know, and what I see in the future. But again, I don't feel like women are where they need to be, right? Spiritually, financially, right? Because if you're not in a comfortable space financially, we're having different conversations, right? Just because they can't really be too assertive. And I guess that's why I'm the war here, right? Because I try to always do that. So I love what you're saying. I see all the truth and I can really connect.
Right.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That makes me think about so what would you say you are right now, Pastor Cynthia? So when we first started, we were sharing with Pastor Cynthia one of our previous episodes about the fact that, you know, amongst the three of us, we are war, peace, and love, right? Mm-hmm. So we were like, all right, okay. So Pastor Cynthia, what would you say you would be on any given day? You had to choose a word.
I think that I would be fire because I don't take pretty much nothing, and I can burn up anything. And then I have the great ability to actually, because fires not always can be destructive, it actually can burn some things that need to be taken. So I would actually say that on a common day, when I come in, whatever needs to be answered, we get right to it. I solve problems on a regular. I put out fires all day long. So, but I also bring it because I'm an advocate. So we're always making sure that people are well, people are okay, whatever the situation requires. So that's why I would say, since you guys worked with all of the elements, since you chose the elements of, wind and fire and war and all of those. If I were to choose an element, my husband loves earth, wind, and fire. So I think that I definitely bring some of that element of fire to any situation because I'm a problem solver. And I'm very bottom line, and let's get down to the bottom line tactics of it. And so I think that's what I bring to the table. I think that's the element of what I bring to the table as my husband's handing me breakfast. Right.
You see? There we go, people.
Exactly. As my husband's handing me breakfast. Obiama, yes.
Good morning, Pastor. Good
morning. She said, good morning, Pastor. Good morning.
Good morning.
He said, Obiama.
So what I think is so powerful about what we're talking about, I know myself personally, especially since I am love, right? That's who I am. But there are times when I know what element I may need in my life, and it's just a phone call away. It's just a dial, right? I felt like you, Pastor Cynthia, could be something that other people may have needed. So what did I do? I picked up the phone like, Pastor Cynthia, can you come on to the podcast? Because, right, I may not, this is the same for my staff and my children sometimes as well. I may not be the answer at that moment. I may not be exactly what you need at that moment, but I know someone who can help you. So there's times when I pick the phone up, right? It might be a Damaris day, it might be an Obiama day, and reaching out to Pastor Cynthia, like, I need you, right? Even if it's something where, for my daughters, right? If there was something that they may have needed, because I care so much about them, I need to make the call and connect with the person who has the answer. So in those moments that you ladies, and I'd love to hear from all of you, in that moment of need, whatever that may be, in our business, personal lives, whatever, who are you reaching out to call, and what is it that you need them to facilitate for you? Because I think that's something we all need in this moment of life when we're just lifing.
I think Obiama is one of my great people I reach out to. We have real moments, and I say, this is me. When I say it's me, they know that, when I say it's me, and she and I can really just be transparent with each other. I think that's not the easiest thing for most women to create. I don't think that's an easy thing, because we have had a bad reputation of, just not being there for each other, or not understanding, or just being that safe place. People try to say, because you're a pastor, or because you're a businesswoman, or because you're this, that, and the other, you have to be careful and all of that. I have to be careful because at 59 years old, I'm wise, I'm smart. I can peep where you're coming from before you even peep there. I like to say, like my grandmother, at this age, you got to get up 2 weeks before me to even catch up with me. Okay. So if you can't get up 2 weeks before me to even catch up with me, because at this age, it's kind of hard to pull the wool. But I think finding that safe place, I think for me, my husband and I, it's really unusual that he is very easy to switch roles and come from being my pastor to my husband to my friend. And so I give you a prime example. I was dealing with a situation with a homeless community, and he said, listen, this is a community, you have to segment where you can help and where you can't, and you got to know that. And so there's times when I just need that business advice, and it'll come from him. You know what I mean? The wisdom of God, which is very easy to entreat, will come from there. And so I've created my own safe circle. I think that I can do that with. And as time grows, it's very funny. People say, Damaris, that I am everybody's best friend. I make everybody feel like I am their very best friend. My girlfriends, some of my girlfriends, like Candace always says, the problem is they feel like they can call you in any crisis because you come across like you're everybody's best friend. So nobody feels like it's asking you too much because Superwoman shows up at all times. And then when I do something great, Damaris, I tell them, Superman ain't got nothing on me. Okay. I can bury you. I can get your funeral. I can run businesses. there are days I have my Superwoman days. But I think just creating that space, and I think those people around you is your safe circle. You'll know who they is. I make everybody do feel comfortable that I do have a very intimate circle, because the very comfortable side of me, or the very real side of me, when I need to cry, you know what I mean? I never cried through my husband having cancer, but a friend of mine said it was so beautiful to see you cry in worship. She said, because I knew at that point you were always taking it to God. I never complained. My girlfriend said, why you didn't call? We would have all been more there. But I said, I didn't need you there. Who I needed, what he had was healing. And I had to keep taking him to the person who was giving healing. Y'all could just, y'all would have made me wishy-washy. I know who y'all are. I know y'all would have been there to comfort me. I didn't need that. I knew I needed to stay strong for him, for the children, for the grandchildren, for the church, for his family, for my family. I knew who I needed to be for that year and a half in that situation. So I knew, but my girlfriend, I didn't recognize it. She said to me, I was okay because I would watch your broadcast where we come on live. And she said, I would see you cry. She said, and I knew you were getting your release. And I knew that you were taking it to what she calls, she's not a Christian. And she said, I knew you were taking it to a higher power, and I knew you were going to be okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Wow.
Yeah, so I would agree. I think that for me, it's the community, right? And and to the point, Pastor Cynthia, you got to know who is up at the back, right? Because everybody don't have the capacity to hold you. Everybody don't have the capacity to support you. Everybody don't, right? So being able to know what each person capacity is. And so for me, I'm very, very, very fortunate and blessed to have two pastors, Pastor Cynthia and her husband, that we lovingly call the wisdom box, because he is really that person that can switch in a second. You want to talk about business, he going to talk about business and give you sound wisdom. You want to talk about relationships, he going to talk about you, like whatever that is, and you don't have to worry about it going anywhere, right? And that's really important to me, being able to have people who can support me at my various hats and spaces and all that kind of stuff. Because also people, what I've struggled with, I'm gonna tell you about me, what I've struggled with is people put me in a box and only seeing me as. People have a hard time seeing you as multifaceted, multi-talented, multi-gifted. You know, if you in the church, that's all you can be. If you're in business, that's all you can be. If you're in childcare, and it's like, no, I'm a unicorn and I'm okay with that. And stop trying to box me in who you see me as. So because of that, I know I can't go to a whole lot of people and talk about a lot of different things because they're one-dimensional. But I have pastors that are able to parent me when I need to be parented, right? I have pastors that are able to be a sister and a brother to me when I need that. Whatever it is that I need, and I know thousands of people, regardless of their faith, that don't have that and don't have that access. And so I'm really, really grateful that they are real people and will be real people with me at all times. Because, unlike popular belief, her husband would be like, "Are you stupid?" Right? Just no, because, and that's important for me. He may not be able to have that conversation with other people, but like I'm straightforward, right? So he can be like, "Obiama, what is wrong with you?" And me not take offense to it, because I need you to tell me the truth. Like, don't spiritualize a natural situation. Like, if I'm getting ready to get hit by this truck, I need you to say, like, what is wrong with you?
And I think she's not endorsing us. This is really, really our lives. Like some people say, because they endorse their pastor. She's not doing it because she endorsed. This is really us. And I think that the most important thing, and I wanted to say this when you said that, is I want to be what I want. So I want to be the people, Damaris and Ali, what I want. And I want people to always, I thank God that when I was having moments with my husband and all the situation in the cancer, even though she is who she is, I didn't put her in the box to say she still can't be my girlfriend. And I had moments, and she was I knew I could share with an Obiama, and she could be trusted with my wounds. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you've ever had a wound, and if you've ever had, a lot of people can't be trusted because, you don't bring back up when I was weak or having a moment. You know what I mean? Where I said, you know what I'm saying? The cancer's got the best of us. We haven't had sex in 3 months, and girl, I'm about to choke somebody. You know what I mean? And put her in that box because I can't be real. We don't do that. She was able to be really trusted with my wounds, things that were really hurting at that moment, things that I was afraid of at that moment. And even economically, when I had to say, yes, his business is here, but he supports majorly, and I do great with daycare and, got rich in my niche. But just to say, hey, if this piece is moved out of here, what does this picture really look like? And to open that up, to really be trusted with the wounds of your finances and being at the age I am, and how am I going forward, and how have I secured the future, and all of those things. And I think that's the biggest thing, for people to be transparent, to be able to be, people can handle your wounds or handle where you're going, things that you're hurting for real, and to be able to be that to you.
Yes. Love that.
I just started opening up. It was pretty much handling the world, taking the weight to myself. And I only trusted one person in my life, and that was my dad. And then when he passed, although, my husband was there, we had different types of conversations. I fell in love with my husband again when my dad died, right? And during the time that my dad was sick and ill, he had cancer as well. And he lasted 8 months. And during that time, that's when I knew, oh my gosh, I married the right man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he cared for my father better than any woman ever.
Wow.
And, you know, any other person, like the nurses and anybody
Wow.
else. And, you know, I really appreciate that and love that from him. But when my father died, I felt alone because he was the one that I called and said, Dad, check this out. I'm doing this. And no matter how crazy the idea was, because I can come up with some crazy ideas, he would say, let's do it. I'm so proud of you. Let's do it. How can I help? That was my dad, right? All the way from when I was a kid, all the way to, you know, the day he passed. And trying to find that was difficult, right? I couldn't find, you know, I tried to find a place of worship. I couldn't do that. I couldn't connect with anyone. To this day, I don't have I have a church I go to, but that is not my home. Does that make sense? I go there because I want my children to have some type of foundation, but even they're disconnected, which I recognize because I'm disconnected. So they don't feel at home either. I just force them, and every Sunday they're like, why? Why do we have to go? And, you know, I try to make up these stories and how beautiful it's going to be. And they just look at me like, stop lying, right? Because we already know how you even work walking. They know, they're not dumb, right? So I started really thinking about, I need to really release because this is not mentally great for me. I had this person I went to trust in everything, no matter how crazy it was. He was never, you know, judgmental. My dad, you know, God rest his soul. And my husband was that person. And I didn't realize that, right? So I started going to him. And of course, he'll say things like, another business, right? Do you think this is really, are you going to be able to do this? You know, he'll ask those tough questions. But at the end of the day, he says, okay, what can I do to support you? Let's do it. Right? What do you need? You know, I'll come to him and be like, I need a new car. Why? Why do you need a new car? Because I said I want a new car. Right? And then he'll just look at me and be like, okay, let's go get a new car. So, you know, those are not necessarily the things that I want to support. And I'm a brat. So but definitely having conversations like, I'm having this really tough time, you know, here and doing this. What do you suggest? And I always hear, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And he'll say, but you choose where you want to go, and I'm here for it, whatever I can to support you. So that is amazing. And until I've met my two beautiful ladies, Aaliyah and Dr. Martin, you know, that has been a wonderful experience. Aaliyah actually pulls me off the bridge, like the cliff of the bridge, when I'm ready to, like, you know, go in. I'm like, Aaliyah, I need you. I need you to pull me back because I don't want to say things that is going to cause later on. You know, so I'm really big about thinking about things through. But there are moments that I need Aaliyah in my life. And then of course, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about this. How can we do this businessly? Or, hey, I'm really struggling with this. And can you believe, you know, the stuff that we're going through, you know, and stuff like that, and really like pivoting to make those together. Weird thing is that, obviously you all know I'm Hispanic. I have not found that in a Hispanic. I have not found another Hispanic sister, and I'm 50 years old, to be able to connect that way too, which is really odd, right? You know, it's so weird. And I wish that I did, right? And at this point, I'm looking at my daughter, which is the weirdest thing, as that person, because now our conversations a lot more differently. You know, she's 28 years old, you know, she's going into this leadership. But now the beautiful thing, not only, you know, with her reaching her educational journey and goals, and, you know, she's learning how to, you know, become my successor, right? Because that's what she's learning how to do. But she's also become like this person that I'll come to, and she's like, you know, Mom, what's the matter? And I'm able to open up a lot more than I've ever. And then I sit back and say, wow, I'm having this conversation with my kid. This is surreal, right? And she's able to actually respond back and say, well, you know, I feel as though you should do this, right? Or maybe you need a break, or maybe, you know, but hearing her say this as my daughter, as a young Latina woman, right? it's so amazing. And somebody younger than me that's taking over this world, right? That's going to be my successor and going through, you know, whatever it is that this world is going through. It's just an amazing experience. I'm really, really thankful for everyone that's in my corner. It's on my circle, right? And then as going back to my daughter, those proud moments, I'm like, oh, make that master's degree work, please. Leadership. I'm like, you know, it was worth every cent, Samantha. You know, so if she's listening, she knows. I tell her all the time, this is worth every cent of investment for your master's degree, girl, because you are just growing to this beautiful young lady, a beautiful daughter. You know, I'm so proud of her and a friend, right? It's really different and real at this point.
It's so funny. It made me, as you were telling that story, my daughter Isis, so she's 22 now. She sent me a meme the other day that said, you know how back in the day we'd be like, I am not one of your little friends. So the post said, my mom used to say, I'm not one of your little friends. And then look at her, my little friend. And I still was like, I am not your friend. Okay? But you're right. The conversation that I'm able now that I am mature and a lot more settled and confident in who I am, right? Because when we're in that space of I'm unsure of who I am, or I want to be this way, or I want to be like that person. No, I am unapologetically me. And I am fine with being the love in the equation because I have all my other sisters around me and we are one major force. But it's so interesting because I can now appreciate my mom for who she is. I'm no longer that rebellious daughter who are like, I'm grown. I already know, mom. Even at 43, right? It's like, mom, I need my mom. It's so funny. I know what to do during inspection time. I don't know what it is. Whenever it's inspection time, we're fine. But it's something about when my mom is in the space. I'm like, mom, she's here. She's here. Nothing's wrong. She don't even do anything. She just brings her presence. But I think it's the same for my daughter as well. You know, I have all girls. We have all girls. My 10-year-old shared some wisdom with me yesterday. And I really was like, you made a good point. I think. But honestly, I think a lot of that really comes from what we have shared with our people, with our circle. So, you know, I think a lot of times we really need to hug ourselves and pat ourselves on the back for what we bring to the space. Like you said, Pastor Cynthia, being the light. And thankfully, because we put out so much good, we are able to get it back when we're in our safe spaces. Because I've shared out with my mom and my daughters and my husband, when we need that vulnerable space, we can go into it and get back what we put in. Right. And I think that's what's important is, right, what you put out is what you get back. So we really need to be mindful of what it is that we're putting out into the world. Right. Yeah. Oh, this is good. You guys have rested my good soul today. I don't have work. And it's funny, Pastor Cynthia, 1:30 is my spa appointment, okay? So you guys have set me up very well.
Yes. You need it.
To be rested. I don't want to finish up the episode without asking this because we have not even shared this part. All the great things that Pastor Cynthia is, she has been in childcare for how many years? If you could tell us how you got into the business, what that looked like for you, and where you are now. Because we had an episode on legacy last week, and
yeah. Well, legacy was so big because my mother started teaching at St. Malachy. She was there for 33 years. I went from corporate America going over to needing a little break, started substitute teaching for her. Okay. When she would have our women's conventions and stuff, come in and fill into my class in St. Malachy's Catholic School. And I went in the front door and it took me 16 years to find the exit out of St. Malachy's. So I went in as the full-time substituted for many years, did all grade levels, was the in-house sub that they created, kind of this position for me. And then the kindergartners were kicking out kindergartners, like kindergarten teachers. Nobody could stay. The kids were so bad. Nobody could. I was like, honey, we will not be having this from 5-year-olds. I went to kindergarten because a nun couldn't take the kindergarten class. I went that one day and I stayed in kindergarten for about 10 to 12 years. I was the kindergarten teacher of all kindergarten teachers. And I was proud of what I did. I always told everybody I was creating world leaders. And I would make them say, who are you? We're a world leader. I'm creating world leaders. And that was very good at that space in that time. And then parents started coming to me like summer times. What do I do with my kid, Miss Allen? You're the only one they listen to, or, this, that, and the other. And I kind of started at the library, the Philadelphia Library, watching, doing a summer camp program myself, created it, decided, okay, I needed to go into it. And I had a parent, my girlfriend Sharon, would come by my window in kindergarten every day. And she would literally, what a word called, prophesy to me and say, you're bigger than that. You're bigger than this teacher. You're big. People would come up to me because I was used to corporate America. So I would be dressed. And, teachers back then, they'd had them little, the principal, they used to think she was the cleaning lady. And they would always think I was the principal because I'm showing up in a suit, every day to teach kindergarten. I'm already dressed and I'm all of that. So it was all, and she always said, that's because really greatness is calling to you. And so when I decided to actually go into the business, it was her who was already in childcare. Sharon, my girlfriend Sharon, was in childcare. And she said, listen, this is all you need to do. Now I had childcare people all around me. But it was really funny that she really had that kind of impact. It kept pushing me. I mean, she was doing it for years. She'd go by my window and the window's in the walkway and she'd say, you're bigger than that. I mean, for years. Can you imagine somebody just pumping you for years to say, you're bigger than that. You're bigger than this. You deserve your own business. Long story short, I got into, and when I started out, parents found out, I found one of my parents was a pastor and he had a church down the street and wasn't using the other side of his building. And I talked to him about it. And it was really funny because I had great resistance. People held me to that place and didn't want to see me. And I talked to my husband about it. My husband said, can you replace your salary? I love my husband. I'm telling you, I could relate to Damaris because through cancer, we became closer than we'd ever been in 40 years of marriage. I fell in love with him in the last 2 years, like second to none. I felt like we became more intimate. But he said to me, he said, babe, and when I talked to him about it, he said, can you replace your salary? And he said, that's all you need to do. And I said, let's start. And I started with family childcare and was able to do that. I was making double my salary and then went into watching kids after school in my classroom at my school, okay, to 5:30, 6 o'clock where parents was picking them up in business. And I realized I needed to now get my own business. And I started full and remained at full capacity at 1628 Master Street for 12 years, 13, 12 years. And then the last 2 years, of course, with COVID. So I had a very successful, and I did before, after, in summer camp. And I love Obiama because she said, every time I kept trying to go into full-time daycare, she said, this is your niche where you get rich. And it was where I was great. I loved before, after summer camp. And my husband would say, you found a place, you don't have to work as many hours. You don't have to do as much. And you're still making, you replace your salary and you're still making the kind of money because I stayed full to capacity. So a lot of people get in daycare, but they don't stay full capacity. For me, I was full to capacity and I didn't have a financial issue. I hired my mother, myself, my 2 sons, one of my girlfriend's daughter. I had a full staff. My brother was my director. I had a full family staff and we worked very well together for for all of those times. And every time I'd want to go into, I'm going to do pre-K Cal. I'm going to start that. Obiama would be like, sis, that ain't your area to get your rich. Okay, this is where you need to stay. Why? Because people love, trust, and respond to you, and you already are at your numbers doing it, and the balance of what it is not that much of a difference. And so it was good place for me. And then pandemic hit, and everything went wiggity woggity. When the pandemic hit, everything kind of changed, and I even got a chance to get in touch with where my children were academically in school, and my eyes were wide open to how much my kids did not know. Going from 50 kids, then a pandemic hits, and we're full to capacity, and we're handling all of that. And now to see that now like majorly change, that number change, was amazing to me. And to kind of go from there into now, after 2 years of kind of like that seesaw and having them, and things kind of went, I got to a place and I was like, okay, I think I'm coming to the end with this. So that happened right as my husband was going into cancer. So it was a life-altering event at the same time. that was happening to me. So he was happening to me. The daycare kind of like was upseat, going through a lot. And I was like, something about this ain't feeling right. Something about this ain't comfortable no more. Then the children that I was getting, everything got different. Like I was in family relationship. I was at your mother's funeral. I was at the birthing of the babies. I was at the baby shower. I was the family member. We didn't just come along. We were your village. Yes. You got a problem with your baby daddy, you fighting him, so are we. Let's take the earrings off. He better not come over here. We bet know that. I bet you that. He better not, we were your family members. And we started losing that. I started losing being a part of families where I was going to school. I was the other emergency contact outside of being daycare. I could pick up the kid, whether they would see. I had that family relationship with my family, and we was full to capacity. And I remember one time I got an Obiama as my coach where, I paid her and she said, listen, all we're going to do is stay full. That was her objective is, listen, let's get the strategies in place to stay at full occupancy. And the Bible calls it strengthening those things that remain. And we worked on that, put strategies in place and didn't have an enrollment. And when enrollment started changing and COVID brought about a great change and the families was changing, parents were different, the kids start getting different, things start changing. I was like, I started losing my love for it and I loved it. And when I realized that I was losing my love for it, and that I was ready to do something different, I started bending to looking at other things. And I was a serial entrepreneur doing several things and knew I needed to put my energy, not just in that space. My resource that I was giving was my time. And I felt like I could give my time to other things and still have great impact.
And that's when we said it's time to put that exit strategy in place.
And pivot. That's her favorite word. And pivot.
And so I talked to Damaris and Aaliyah a lot about the exit strategy, but that's what we did. We put an exit strategy in place, and it was so strategic that it really allowed you to exit and enter in to be in a place where you was able to take care of your husband. It was amazing.
It was amazing. And I made a decision that he was my priority at that moment. Damaris, I had an inspector, and I actually wrote the state about her. I talked to had powers that be about her. And when I came out, because our numbers had gone down significantly. Like I'm used to 50 and now I'm now 19. I'm used to 50 and now I went down to like 12. And I was like, okay, this is now. And it wasn't, literally parents were not going, they had changed, closed a lot of the local offices of CCIS in our community. Nobody was going all the way up to Welsh Road. I mean, so many of the things that kept us full, a lot of it was a major breakdown. They couldn't go to 17th Street because I was in North Philly. They couldn't go to Germantown Avenue no more. They couldn't go, and so parents gave up on, they couldn't get their paperwork in. They'd send it up there. They cut them off. And I was 90%. Obiama had warned me about this. I was 90% CCIS or ERLC. You know what I mean? So that she was like, sis, you're going to still need some cash because when that closed up, and it was a big thing that I actually saw later, blind, looking back now on something that I should have had in play. But I thank God that I had other businesses. My husband had he feeds schools, and so his business was in play. But then I was able to come onto this wonderful opportunity in the to house the at-risk and homeless through the medical insurance, built a business there, and we're scheduled to $1 million. And I built this, and I was pretty much my only staff. So it wasn't about, and as Obiama said, it's not about money you make, it's the money you keep. So we realized, yes, we can make money because we were all making well over six figures. My income went from probably working in Catholic school, 40-something thousand. I was personally making six figures myself just for before, after, and summer camp, outside of the rest of my family. But then when I moved on to this space, I'm able to quadruple times 3 that kind of income and still have a great impact in a different way. So it made me look at it because now, and it's a wonderful space to be in. And then it helps me to feed my other businesses. So my real estate business will be strong. My, kids more, because I'll actually have all the, not only just the time, but the resources to even build the leg of the 7 other businesses strong, just from that one decision that I just made this year.
That is an amazing exit strategy.
Yeah. Dr. O. Thank you, Dr. O.
I actually, I've been in business for 20 years, had the childcare. I could be I'm honest. I don't love what I do anymore. I really don't.
I feel, Damaris, I feel you with all my heart this year. I didn't hit it until I took an evaluation. And when Obiama said to me one day, like dummy, she was like, if you're done with it, you're done with it.
Done with it.
You owe no one no way, and then she starts encouraging you owe no one nothing, you've done it all. I was like, well, I can't leave my parents, and they depended on me. And she was like, are these the same parents? It's different now, right? We talked about this being different, and we really had a conversation, because outside of talking to my husband about it, I needed to talk it out. I needed, and even this summer, this was the first summer I've run this in this one location for 16 years. This summer, I had days where I was like, I really miss it. Like, wait a minute, did I make the right decision? I hadn't started making money over there yet. And I was like, wait, parents were calling me, you're not having summer camp. What are we going to do? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I can see if I can watch your kid anyway at the house. Maybe you can drop them off. They're like my grandkids. And I had to realize it was over. And it wasn't easy, because I realized then my kids who I'd had there, were all going on proms and going to college, and I'm giving out money for scholarship, for books, and I'm giving them trunk parties. I'm making sure that their trunk parties, that they have a gift from us. And then I realized this is why I need to move over in this space, because those who have had a great impact, I want to create a scholarship so that they can have, hey, I know your mama. I know your mom and your grandmother, honey. I know you ain't gonna have a ride down to the school. Let me cash you some, because I know. Oh, it's y'all, right? Your mother who didn't never bring y'all no lunch money. Yeah, okay, what you need? Call Miss Allen when you need. Oh, right, it's y'all, right? Your mother never had y'all no school supplies. Call me for school supplies when you need it at college. I realized it made me have great joy to be able to be that to other people and still stay in relationship with my babies and my kids, and to see them now mature and grow, and that I've had impact, and how can I remain in that impact with them in the next, through another way. And I found it, and it made me feel good. So I understand it, Damaris. I feel you with all my heart, because I started losing my love, but then I was able to complete, do a complete circle and be able to meet kids and say, hey, I could come back and still be involved in your lives by being this to you.
Yeah, that's how I'm, that's the space I'm at now.
Yeah.
But not working with kids, but working for kids. For the future, in different advocacy space, and really ripping out the Band-Aid of the years and the years and the years of barriers that exist, for the Black and Brown communities, especially in businesses and childcare space as well, right? Policy level, state level, city level. So those are really the things that are igniting me, right? That are really, I've become very passionate about. Yesterday, we had a male engagement activity back at the center, and I was really, I was happy to see so many men and women in our facility and really enjoying themselves. But guess what? I left. And before, the Damaris before would have closed that down to the last minute. Do you know what I mean? Would have been working that room. I didn't want to, really talk to families. I didn't want to, I said hello because obviously, that's what I need to do, show the space, whatever. So, it's just, I can tell already that I'm checked out, but with my heart, right? Not yet mentally. Here's the difference. We have staff, right? We do have most of our enrollment, right? And we're working on plans for some of the other enrollments. We have a lot of funding streams. So it's very profitable business, right? And I will affect what's keeping me there is not that profit, because we're already financially where we planned, right? So we are where we wanted to be and more, right? And we're still working on what's next. So that's not really what our issue is. My issue is the 54 people that work for me. It's not even the kids. It's not even the kids, right? Because we've built this foundation of providing access to and inviting people to the table and providing them leadership skills and stuff like that typically are not invited, right? Or typically don't have the opportunities to do that. And now that I've started them and they're there, I'm like, where are they gonna? They can go to other organizations, but let's keep it real. How are they gonna keep growing them? Mm-hmm. Or they're just going to use them to keep doors open, right? Not too many people do that. So I think that's what's keeping me there. So I'm back and forth with this. I know Aaliyah and Obiama and I have spoke the other day. I'm like, I'm planning an exit. Like, this is going to be my last year because I feel it in my heart, right? And again, going back to my daughter, I'm like, you ready? You need to be ready, right? Because I want to travel. I earned it. I want to enjoy my kid, right? I want to enjoy my own child, right? I still have a 10-year-old left, right? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I want to enjoy my own kid. I want my kid to come home and see mommy there, not wait for 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock, 8:30, like last night that I got home to say, hey, mom, I love you. Good night. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally get it. I felt that way about my granddaughters. I said, I want to spend a summer with them, being able to take them on the plane and go to Disney World and not have to share them with 50 other children and not have to share them with, just do that. I want to be able to have that for my granddaughters and pick them up from school and not just put them on the van with the rest of the kids like that because they're mine.
We sacrifice so much. I don't think people really realize how much we have sacrificed to make sure that other people's children right are prepared, right, for not only for kindergarten but this world that lies ahead of them. But
and I think what's so great is I feel like this conversation came full circle. At the beginning we spoke about the fears that we have as women, and we spoke about definitely the village and the people who are around us, and we also spoke about kind of creating that space that we want. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about here. And the fear of, okay, well, what will happen to all of those if we left them behind, which really isn't it. We're really just redefining what it looks like for us to show up. And when we let go of that part of the fear, right, we'll be able to make even more impact, like Pastor Cynthia said. So I think what it's time to if we could totally summarize this whole thing is be clear on who you are. Like, take a moment to, who am I? Be settled in that. And then what do I want next? Like, be able to define it. If we could take all of those barriers away and those blinders off, what is it that I want my, next year, next 3, next 5, next 10 years to look like? What does it look like? And start writing it out. Take a moment. I now have my CEO days where I don't go into the office because now I need to be able to create, right? I'm a visionary. I need to be able to create what my life is going to look like. We can do that. And we've done it these past, 10, 15, 20, 30 years that we've been in childcare. We've done it for so many other people. We can do it for ourselves. Make sure you connect with other people who can make you even that much stronger. Create your village. You can. I told you, we're your friends too. Connect. Like, we're here. You got love, fire, peace, war. Like, what you need. You listen. And something I love too that Pastor Cynthia said is we don't have to work harder to meet our goals or to even make that income, right? So what I'm doing, I was working 50 hours a week doing the same type stuff. Pastor Cynthia is like, I was doing before and after care in summer. That's it. Right. So, we can still meet those goals. Redefine it. That doesn't mean that you have to work 10 more hours to make it happen. Right. Define it. When you lose because I wrote some notes, when you lose your love for something, pivot. That's it. Right. Life is too short. We're not staying stuck. We shall not be stuck. All right. Protect your greatest asset, time. We do not have an unlimited amount of time. Protect your resource. That's your asset. And stay connected to your vision. Like, go back to your why. And if you have to pull out your piece of paper and draw it all over again, do that. And let's start living. That's it. That's my sermon. That's my sermon, Pastor Cynthia.
That was an amazing sermon.
Yeah. That's a mic drop. You did an amazing job summarizing this whole episode. So I hope that for all of you that will be listening to the replay and those that are tuned in, I hope that this really just touches you in a way that causes you to act and to do whatever that is that you need to do. The four of us are here as a resource. You can find us on social media. And if you are intrigued to go visit Pastor Cynthia Church, it's at 4800 Old York Road. And what you see on this podcast is exactly who she is on Sunday morning. And you can catch her on Facebook Live as Cynthia Allen. There is no, there's like, it's just all 100%. Who you see is who you get. So she is the same on this podcast as she is on Sunday morning.
I'm coming. I'll be there.
Come, Damaris, come. Oh, we all have to have something great. Come, please. Definitely come. Thank you, Aaliyah, for having me. I'm so honored and I am humbled to be here. I'm grateful that you guys consider the God on me, you know, and the love that I have for people, just to have us on. And I'd love to talk about the next time we get a chance, Damaris, about the next exit strategy of really going to next, because I brought my whole staff on. I couldn't leave a lot of people. So I was like, hey, it's time to get on to something else. Now we all jumping. I made everybody create a company. Everybody, Obiama can tell you, we listen, we doing something else now, and we're going to find a way to do it. So we'll kind of talk about what age we're in now, because we're not blockbusters anymore. We don't want to be blockbusters, stay too long and become obsolete. So yeah, let's make sure that we get together and do that again. I love you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you, Pastor Cynthia. Thank you so much.
See you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Impact Podcast. Thank you for joining us.